Oh, good. You found the face warmer that I left for you.
Yeah, it's not super comfortable, but,
Nothing down here is.
it's
That's just how life is sometimes.
you haven't said anything more true, Al.
Well, I know you enjoyed so much last time doing the cards for your little YouTube show. I saw there's such a great reaction to it that I thought we'd do another one.
I think that was your reaction, Al.
It'll catch on. You gotta just give it a minute.
It's a great reaction.
They'll recognize greatness. Well, so we got another True Crime 2 here.
Great.
For the people.
Awesome.
That's like the people demand.
Welcome back to the Free Critique. I'm Stan, this is Al, and I am trapped in his basement.
You sure are. You sure are, buddy. Let's get to the cards then.
Alright, it's my turn to open these.
Open that back up there, buddy.
We have Andre Ciccolito. You know anything about him?
I do not.
Yeah, that's fine. What do you guess? I'm guessing gangster on this one.
The name says gangster, but the face says murderer.
Maybe it's both. Let's see. Andre Ciccolito was born in 1934 in the Ukraine. His older brother may have been abducted and cannibalized before his birth. Why is that?
What? Oh no.
Why is that included? Why do we?
Just
why?
Fun fact. That's an icebreaker that he always started out with. He's like, my name's Andre Ciccolito, and my younger brother may have been kidnapped and cannibalized before me.
Well, older brother.
Older brother.
Older brother, who's died before he was born.
Well, that's not great.
All right. As a child, he was exposed to the horrors of Nazi occupation and post-war famine. A 25-year member of the Communist Party in post-war famine. He earned his master's degree in Russian literature. That's an awkward phrasing. He earned his degree in Russian literature and married.
And married. That's what he did.
He earned it in married.
Yeah. He hit her with the old, my older brother might have been cannibalized.
Yeah, it's classic.
She was just like, well, dang, I gotta marry that boy.
Producing 2 children despite impotence. I don't
think they were his.
Yeah. It's a miracle, okay. In 1974, while working as a counselor, he was discharged amid complaints of sexual misconduct. That year, he took a teaching job somewhere in the Ukraine and began to murder.
As you do.
So you were right, murderer.
I was correct. I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
In 1981, he obtained a position as a supply officer, which allowed him to travel and kill in distant areas. Ciccolito, who carried a black case in which he kept a knife, rope up youngsters of both sexes and various ages, and took them to the wooded, otherwise deserted areas, and we're gonna move on. Yeah. And you can imagine what he did from there. Right. He gets to go right over here with the others.
Right there with the murderers.
Yep, these guys, yeah.
That's pretty terrible.
Yep, that's not cool.
It's not great. Well, next up we have Arthur Shawcross. What's your guess on this guy?
It's got to be a murderer.
It's
got to be a murderer.
That's what I'm thinking. All right. Born in 1944, Arthur Shawcross was a quiet child. He dropped out of school, joined the military, served in Vietnam, and afterwards returned to New York State to live. Lacking skills or ambition, he drifted through low-wage jobs, and by the time he was 28, had been married 3 times. In 1972, he was arrested and confessed to strangling a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl in Waterstown, New York. Convicted of second-degree murder, he was sentenced to 25 years.
Another kid murderer. Great.
It gets worse.
Oh,
While
no.
in prison, he corresponded with the woman who would become his fourth wife.
Oh, no. Why? Why would you do that?
They settled in Rochester, but a local prostitute was found strangled to death. And over the next 2 years, 10 other women, all strangled or asphyxiated.
Yeep. That's all I can
He was
say.
convicted of 11 counts of murder in 1991 and was sentenced to 10 consecutive 25-year terms. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, he gets to go over here, too.
He does.
So we were right, murderer.
The murderer.
Murderer or government, man? That's a hard one on this one.
I say Sagawa. I don't know. Probably murderer.
I'm going to guess murderer on our friend here.
I'm going to guess it.
Born in 1949 to a wealthy family in Japan, Aisea Sagawa, and I apologize about the names.
Yeah. We're not.
I mean, I'm not going to apologize about mispronouncing a murderer's name. Was a quiet child who, at 3, fantasized about being a cook, and as a student, queried teachers about the moral... Oh, we got a cannibal.
Oh, no.
We got a cannibal.
That's
All
not
right.
great.
He queried teachers about the morality of eating human flesh. At 23, he was arrested for the attempted rape of a German woman in Tokyo, but his family paid to have the charges dropped. When he failed to pass Japanese university entrance exam, he was sent to Paris to study language and literature. While there, he met a 25-year-old Dutch student and paid her to torture him in German. Oh, sorry, tutor him, not torture him.
Yeah, man,
but
you know,
it's hard to
I
tell.
wasn't going to bet an eye on that one.
In 1981, he bought a gun with a silencer, killed his tutor, desecrated the body, and stored parts in a freezer. Police caught him, and he confessed. But he was found to suffer from quote-unquote brain damage. So instead of being tried for murder, he was sent to a mental hospital. At this point, he became a celebrity in Japan. A compilation of his letters won a literary award, and his quote-unquote fictionalized account of the killing, In the Mist, sold 200,000 copies.
Just like O.J. Simpson's If I Did It.
Yep. In 1984, he was transferred to a Japanese hospital. Authorities wanted to try him for murder, but the French case was closed. In Japan, the criminally insane are treated as mentally ill and quickly released. So Sagawa, soon deemed stable, was given to his parents' custody. Today, this murderer and self-admitted cannibal writes books and authors a weekly column. He is a frequent TV guest and has been featured in pornographic magazines, and routinely stalks Caucasian women throughout Tokyo. Police claim he is dangerous and will kill again, but Tokyo criminology professor Akio Yagagami says nothing can be done to stop him because the Japanese justice system does not regard a sexual disorder as a mental illness.
That just kept getting worse at the end there.
Yep. So he's out there potentially. I don't know. He was born quite a while ago, so he's old. If he's not dead, we'll have to look it up.
60s to 70s.
He gets to go over here.
That's terrifying.
And he was, he probably killed again. He probably did. There are probably multiple murderers that nobody knows about. So awesome.
That's terrible.
Neat.
All right. Well, what about Dorothea Puente? What do we feel about her?
I'm going to guess Mafia.
Mafia?
I'm going to guess Mafia.
Let's see what we have here. Dorothea Montalvo Puente was born in California in 1929, one of 18 children.
Holy crap.
Her father, a World War I veteran, succumbed to tuberculosis when she was 8. The following year, her mother died in a motorcycle accident. A ward of the state, Puente married 4 times and had a daughter, whom she gave up for adoption. In 1978, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, a delusional condition. She fantasized about acting, claiming to have starred in many films. She also presented herself as a holistic doctor.
Oh,
in 1979, she opened a state-licensed senior citizen housing center in Sacramento.
Oh, no.
That is a year after she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Oh, no. I can see where this is going, and I don't like it.
In 1982, Puente was convicted of drugging and robbing people she picked up in bars. After 2.5 years in prison, she returned to her boarding house, where caring for her yard became an obsession. In 1986, social workers became concerned when Puente's boarders began to disappear, but no investigation ensued. In 1988, neighbors complained of a noxious odor in Puente's yard. Police dug up the area and found 7 bodies.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's... Wow.
What?
Puente had vanished, and as many as 25 of her boarders were missing. She was soon found in Los Angeles, living under an assumed name, identified by an elderly man whom she had offered to take care of after meeting him in a bar.
Oh, no. She
was arrested, and her trial is still pending as of 1992.
Well, we'll have to see what happened.
We'll have to see what happened here. An 8th victim was found near the Sacramento River in a wooden box in 1986 and was added to the list.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
That's awful.
It is believed by police that Puente killed her elderly boarders primarily to obtain their Social Security income. So,
Eep.
Yeah, we'll stick that there. That seems terrible.
All right. Then we have good old Bella Gunness. Good old Bella Gunness there. Brynhilda Paulsdatter Storset, which sounds like a name you and I would make up.
That sounds like an entirely fictional name.
Was born in 1859 in Norway. She came to the U.S. in 1881 and settled in Chicago, 1884, as Bella Storset. She married an immigrant named Gunness. Their confectionery shop opened in 1896 and was destroyed by a fire in 1897. That's just bad timing.
That's bad timing.
Arson was suspected. Another fire wiped out their house in 1898. The couple had 4 children. The eldest girl and boy died in 1896 and 1898 of quote-unquote acute colitis, which may have been poison. In 1900, Mr. Guinness died of quote-unquote natural causes. Strychnine poisoning. Guinness moved with her children and a foster daughter to Indiana in 1902, married a farmer, and that year he was killed by a quote-unquote accidental blow to the head. Bella gave birth to his son in 1903, but the boy and the foster child vanished in 1906. Then hired drifters to help her on the farm and placed lonely heart ads for suitors. Many men visited, but the only one who left was Ray Lamphere. Hired in 1906 and fired in 1908, he loved Bella and stayed nearby. In April 1908, Bella's farm was then leveled by fire. Investigation found 4 bodies in the basement, 3 children, and a headless woman.
Oh, no.
Lamphere was arrested for arson and murder. In May, investigators discovered the bodies of 10 males and 2 females on the farm. 6 victims identified, including the foster daughter and several farm hands. Police continued to search for the missing skull. Guinness Dental Bridge was found and she was declared dead. Lamphere claimed otherwise, saying he had driven her to the train station after the fire. Charged with murder and arson, he was convicted only to the latter. Sightings of Guinness persisted into the 1950s. So murderer.
Murderer. Big time murderer.
Big old murder.
All right, we got Crazy Joe Gallo here.
Crazy Joe.
Crazy Joe
Good old
Gallo.
Crazy Joe Gallo.
What do you think about this man?
Crazy Joe's probably a mafia, probably gangster.
I'm feeling government, but we'll see.
Could be government, but it's the Crazy Joe that makes me think he's a mafia or gangster.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Joe Gallo, born in 1929, grew up in the mafia-dominated Red Hook district of Brooklyn. His 2 brothers, the teenage Gallo, became a lifetime career of assault, battery, and kidnapping.
Oh, no.
When he flunked a psychiatric evaluation, he was given the nickname Crazy Joe. He worked with mob boss Vito Genovese, whose wife we have right here.
Oh, great.
On August 20th, 1961, Profaci, which is a rival crime family, starting a war that cost over a dozen lives during the next 8 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. On December 21st, 1961, Joey Gallo was convicted and sent to prison for 10 years. On June 7th, he died of cancer and the war wound down. So there you go.
All right. Then we have Willie Sutton. Good old Willie Sutton there.
Willie Sutton.
All right. Willie Sutton was born in 1901 and began his career in crime at the age of 10. Yeah, he's a gangster. So we got another.
Fairly confident we have another one
gangster
here with William Moretti. That last name sounds familiar. William Moretti was New York mobster Vito Genovese's first target in his strategy to dominate the New York Mafia. In 1943, Willie, like Al Capone, was diagnosed with psoriasis, the incurable final stage of syphilis when the disease attacks the brain. Always talkative and friendly, Moretti would sometimes lapse into strange stories about imaginary horse races or talk too openly about mob business. On October 4th, 1951, Willie was in a New Jersey restaurant with 4 other mobsters. The only other person present was the waitress. When she went back to get the menus, 4 shots rang out. She rushed back out to find Moretti dead.
Oh dear.
So,
Another gangster. Let's see, who do we got here? We got Laura Turner and Cheryl Crane. There they are. Yes, I'm guessing murderers.
Yeah.
In 1957, actress Laura Turner divorced her 5th husband, actor Lex Baker, because he had repeatedly raped her 13-year-old daughter.
Oh no. That's a good thing that she left, I guess.
Yeah.
Should have left maybe a little earlier. But...
maybe a little bit. When mobster... oh, we're going into crime. Johnny Stompantino, who had gotten Turner's phone number from gangster Mickey Cohen again.
Good old Mickey Cohen.
Called her for a blind date, and she agreed to meet him. Johnny turned the charm. Lana responded, and an intense affair began. Turner kept her romance with Stompantino secret because she feared being linked to a thug with a police record could ruin her career. And to her, he was a fling. Stompantino saw Laura as a wife and long-term investment. To prove his ability as a stepfather, he bought Cheryl a horse and gave her a job in his floral shop. In September, Laura filmed a period romance with Sean Connery in London. Johnny followed her, borrowing the plane ticket from recent parolee Mickey Cohen. He wanted Turner to fund a picture he would produce with her as the star. When she refused, he tried to smother her with a pillow. Scotland Yard escorted him to the airport. The couple made up, and Turner vacationed with Stompantino for 2 months in Acapulco. 2 months in Acapulco, because that's what you do when somebody tries to murder you.
Yeah, you make up, and then you're just like, ah. So I feel like we've got really a chain going here. A lot of these guys are all connected, because we had Stompantino on another card as well.
She stabbed him with a knife, by the way.
Bummer.
This one was self-defense, though. Yeah, her and her daughter killed the dude. Here we only have one government man so far.
I think we have another one coming up here, because this is the Kefauver bloodbath, and I think I recognize this guy here as a certain Estes Kefauver. So let's see what happened here. The Kefauver hearings touched off gang violence in Chicago as the mob worked to silence potential witnesses and defend challenges to their rules. The hearings led to increased federal surveillance of organized crime by both the IRS and the FBI, the latter admitting for the first time that a national crime syndicate did exist. More government business.
With Mr. Kefauver there.
He was apparently big on cracking down on the mob.
Well, good for him. That's better than any of these guys over here, for sure.
You know, if you have to be somewhere, this is probably like the area you want to hang out in.
Yeah,
it's like the bottom half of the table.
Yeah, it's pretty bad up here. All right, then we have the kidnapping of Jake Guzik.
Very nice.
All right. In 1943, with Frank Nitti dead, Paula Ricca pushed to the top of position in the Chicago mob. Ricca worked to expand the mob's gambling interest in Chicago and everywhere else. And elsewhere. Jake Guzik was Chicago mob's treasurer. Didn't know that they had that position open in the mob.
Apparently, you gotta be very organized about these things.
Well, organized crime, yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's not called disorganized crime.
It was a warning about to obey the new leadership because he went against it. So it's nice. Good old crime boss there. All right.
Alrighty then. The last one here, Luigi Longi. Luigi Longi was born in 1954 of Italian parentage in Switzerland. A disturbed child, he got into trouble with the law at the early age of 10 for stealing wigs and bottles of shampoo from local hairdressers.
Weird. That's a weird thing to
It's
steal.
a weird thing to start out with. He spent several years confined in a mental institution, was deported from Switzerland in 1977, and moved to Denmark. Around this time, he began to hire women who would let him wash their hair. He never harmed them, merely choosing to spend his time with them, washing their hair compulsively.
This is just a weird dude so far, but I know it's going to get worse. I know it's going to get worse because he's in here.
It is. On May 30th, 1981, Longi met a young woman who traded him the opportunity to wash her hair for a train ticket to Copenhagen. The pair went to his room where he engaged in a long hair washing session, after which the couple fell asleep. He awoke before the woman and, afraid that if he woke her, she might refuse further washings, he tied her hands and feet. When she awoke, he gagged her and dragged her to a chair before the wash basin, where he securely bound her in place. He then washed her hair for several more hours until he ran out of shampoo.
Is that it? Does it get worse?
No, it gets worse.
Oh, no.
Unable to control his compulsion, he continued, quote-unquote, washing her hair with honey, cottage cheese, salad dressing, and anything else he could find.
Okay.
The woman struggled without success to free herself. Her movements only tightened her bonds. Eventually, she strangled to death. Stricken with remorse, Longi hid her body behind a wall. Nearly 9 months later, the corpse was discovered by workmen insulating the building's roof. He was found to be dangerous in his obsession and was confined to a mental institution where he remains today.
Neat.
That is super weird.
Yeah, that's probably the weirdest card we've gotten
that's
so
the
far.
weirdest out of all the ones we've collected.
Yeah, it's just the strangest compulsion. It's pretty horrible. Not as horrible as some of the others, but yeah. So it looks like all the cards.
That's
and
all the cards.
So I'll just be headed out. If you don't mind.
About that, I understand how you would think that, but I've got bingo night at the old Route 76 down on 42nd, so I'll be there. Just don't go anywhere. Stay put. Have a little fun down here with these cards. And, if you need anything, don't holler. No one can hear you. Alrighty then.